on and see where we could look at the election results. Yeah, let's see if the I'm sure I don't want to watch any video on it. Let's just see. There we go. I remember looking at it. I'm sure that we can get that going here. So yeah, we're just gonna let people come in and settle into the room, and just gonna do just gonna get election results. Yeah, so there we go. All right, so yeah, we'll just looking at that stuff. So yes, gonna give a little perspective on the election. I'll just talk about what I think about it. Most of the time you know where I'm at with respect to the selection, and there's some disappointment. I guess I should start from saying congratulations on this election and my condolences. So it's a mix, and really when you're looking at life, we're really talking about a paradox, and hopefully that this video will just give you some perspective. And I'm not going to make like the way that I think about it is the end all be all or any of that crap. Okay, just because I'm into freedom, and some of this political stuff is just kind of funky. So I'll talk a little bit about, first of all, myself and where I'm at. And I've told you some of this stuff before, and I'll talk about it again. And then and I'm going to get into, we're going to talk about the election. And there are plenty of people, certainly in our sphere of people, who believe that that don't want to vote for a number of reasons. There's some people in the legal land where we many times navigate, and so there are people that believe that as state citizens that you can't vote because then somehow you'll be federal or whatever it is. I don't share that sentiment, and so there, and I'll talk a little bit about that at some point if I haven't talked about it already. So there's that. Now, anybody who's an advocate of a constitutional republic, a republican form of government is a representative form of government, and therefore, and we are a constitutional republic. There are plenty of countries out there that call themselves republics and are hardly a republic at all. They have a tyrannical government. Not to say that America is not a tyrannical government. So let me just state for the record that the land of the free, home of the brave. Okay, although in theory we're a constitutional republic, but in practical application we are a communist country. And I don't like to use the word country when referring to our union, but our union is definitely a communist union. Why do I say that? Look, it's not rocket science. Okay, look up the Communist Manifesto. Look at the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, and our American Congress has adopted all 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. So by law, we are governing as a communist union. And so that's what I mean. There's a certain level of full of shitness that's out there. Okay. Now, when we talk about, in these days, I'm not very Americana because I'm not a union guy. I'm for make America states again. That's what I'm into. I'm into decentralizing, gutting everything out of the federal government that's not supported by Article 1, Section 8. And so the idea is, and even that is sad, because Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 gives the federal government exclusive legislative authority in all cases whatsoever in their jurisdiction, but they've extended their jurisdiction with their cash in every state, and of course federal territories are included in that. So it's a stinking mess. I did not send anybody this election to the District of Columbia. Okay, and in talking to people, they're like, well, it's that kind of voting that gets you whatever it is. And I don't know if it was last year with respect to the presidential election or whatever it is, But New Hampshire, sad to say, ends up being a blue state, which is kind of wacky quacky. But and again, I'm going to have a hard look at the Free State Project. And it isn't that the Free State Project. It's been in this thing for over 20 years, bringing freedom-minded people into New Hampshire. We got 20 years into that. I can look at our legislature and see how that's looking. And I don't know. I think we could do better than this. I think New Hampshire has some good qualities, but it's nestled in between Maine, Vermont, and Massachusetts, and they experience some liberties better than New Hampshire. Sad to say, don't comprehend that. Many people believe that it's the influence of our southern border. New Hampshire should build a wall on our southern border, keeping those people from Massachusetts out from moving up. I don't know. What a mess. But liberty and freedom, that's a challenge, I guess, for some people. But anyway, so with respect to voting, I didn't send anybody back. I was wondering how to defile my ballot in a way that the ballot itself wouldn't be rejected, because I only voted for things in New Hampshire. We had one amendment to the Constitution, which I can't comprehend. I don't know. I don't know if I have the New Hampshire results on the constitutional amendment. Michael, can you look up New Hampshire election results, a constitutional amendment, and see what the results are? In my town of Hill, 338 people voted yes to raise the freaking age of the freaking stupid judges. What kind of morons would vote for that?
So like the New Hampshire voting statistics?
Yeah, New Hampshire voting statistics. Yeah, that would be the constitutional amendment. So here's what happened. And again, listen, these mofos are, they write this shit so that the average government educated person can't understand the stupid thing. And yet, in our election area, we actually had explanations that was supplied by the Secretary of State what was going to be the change. But here's what the change. Who would vote for that? Both the sheriff and judges in New Hampshire, by Constitution, can only be in office up to the age of 70. The amendment to this to the Constitution would make it that judges could be in there till they're 75. How stupid is that? But anyway, I voted no. So in my town, it was 259 no, 338 yes. They wanted to let judges stay in there older. Who would do that? So I don't know what the New Hampshire results of that. Do we know, Michael? Can we tell? Yeah, you just write in constitutional amendment under New Hampshire 2024 election. Yeah, so that's bizarre. Anyway, there was one question on there, so that was kind of weird. But anyway, but yeah, it's embarrassing to, I deserve this, It's embarrassing to think that New Hampshire, even though, again, this doesn't make sense. New Hampshire elected a Republican to be the governor, and yet the same amount of, I think what the end results were was, let me just see, because then we'll talk about the union election. So that's disgusting. Yeah, so let's see if let me see, there we go. No, we don't. Oh, those are the newspapers. You can't even look at that, so that's not going to work. Yeah, they're not going to show all this stuff there because, yeah, I was just trying to get the numbers. What they say, let's see here. This is in thousands. No, what I wanted to see was, I wanted to see how many people voted. This is what I can't comprehend. Again, it's just showing the presidential. That's not going to be helpful. So I was just looking for the New Hampshire results. Let's see, New Hampshire election lab results. Let's see. See, New Hampshire they're just going to show they're They're just going to show president. There's governor. Okay, so here's what I don't understand. So um, they're showing that the Republican, Kelly Ayotte, who's a statist, that she got 427,000 votes, right? And yet for president, so imagine this, 427,000 people voted for the Republican governor. And then, yeah, we're looking for we're looking for the constitutional amendment. Yeah. So I want to see what they pass on that. So anyway, 427. And then for the Democrat, it was 354. So you're looking at, a considerable margin. So, but in the presidential, there were 410 votes for Kamala Harris and 388 for Donald Trump. But it doesn't make sense that these parties, that they would elect a Republican governor, and yet they're going to be voting for Kamala Harris. It doesn't make sense to me. And I also don't make sense that they would vote for a Republican governor and yet send the liberals back to Congress. Doesn't make sense to me. Can't comprehend it. It doesn't make sense. But regardless, I didn't send anybody back to the swamp. On my ballot, what I did was I wrote in no swamp for all the federal elections because I didn't want to send anybody to D.C. I wanted to stand true by my convictions. And I didn't vote for Kelly Ayotte for Republican because I voted for myself for governor. Yeah, I ran and I voted one vote. So when I see the election results from my town, they have, if you look on here, it has, I don't think it's going to show you. That's probably backwards. Anyway, on the write-in for governor, actually for, let me see, did I do it there? Yeah, for governor, I was a write-in, and then for sheriff. I didn't write in myself for anything federal, because I wouldn't even, if everybody wanted me to go, I wouldn't go. You can't change the gangrene that's in D.C. So yeah, someone on here was I appreciate Amber. Y'all need a clean house. Some of those reps from New Hampshire are just Republicans, not even libertarians, not even voluntarists. I would agree completely, Amber. I would agree. Oh, great point. Don't the anarchists discourage voting? So yeah, so I want to address that. That's a great point too. And I'm not an anarchist in that sense. I mean, an anarchist or a voluntarist, I guess I would be more of a voluntarist. I would support that. And again, someone would label me as a minarchist. Listen, I am not against government, but I'm for the kind of government that you read in the Declaration of Independence. And so the idea of that is the only purpose of government is to secure rights. Everything else it does, it shouldn't be in the charity business. It shouldn't be in business. It shouldn't be in the marketplace. It shouldn't be in the environment. It shouldn't be in anything. It should just secure rights. So that's the small part of government. Every government, all governments. So that's my sentiment. The budget for that would be really cheap. I would spend the money that we're spending on it if they actually were securing rights. So I wanted to make a point about that. So I'm not against voting per se. The most important election would be the people that you actually know. And I believe this about government. The most important election is your own town, where your neighbors are the people that you're voting in to just run the town, whatever little thing that is. And a town should be a hopping community where people are involved caring for each other and not the government stepping in to care for people. Because you're not going to steal by force, which is what all taxes are collected under pain of death, and then expect that you're going to give that out as charity. That's just evil. But the people should care for each other. That's the best. And then the amazing thing, the dynamic about the cities are typically governed by there's two areas where you see liberals and where you have the massive amounts of people. And you can check it out. I'm not making this crap up. There's two areas that have the most amount of liberals or statists. And even though I call liberals statists, that does not mean that there aren't Republican statists. Because all the stinking Republicans that are big advocates of law enforcement, that would include, war enforcement, bullcrap, they're statists too. So that's all playing out as well. And that being said, I am for a strong defense, but I'm only for a military that would be securing the rights of America and not interventionism, where we're, defending the world against itself or whatever's out there. That's not what we want Americans to be doing. Bring bring the troops home, defend our own borders, like that. That's the end of where the military should be. So I feel very patriotic with respect to, the Constitution and freedom and liberties and freedoms and all that. But these days I'm not a union guy, so I'm not very Americana. You know all this. I've said this, hundreds of times on all these calls. So when I look at where liberals are, they're always in the cities. That's where they love congregating in cities where it requires government to enforce that they govern themselves, because in cities people don't tend to govern themselves well because people are not designed to live on top of each other, over above all this crap. That's not the way people are designed. They're designed to walk out in their backyard, have a lot of room, live on their land, that kind of thing. That's the way people are designed. So, and then the other place you have a lot of liberals are in and around the indoctrination centers or the educational centers of a state or whatever that is. You're going to see highly influenced liberals. So that's every state. You're going to see it exactly that way. So it's a mess in that way. And I believe that if there's a civil war in America, it'll be between the cities, who will empower their government to demand the rurals give them food, and of course the rurals, where they have the rural people who will have all the firearms. Was that the internet? Stand by. Yeah, we must have dropped out. That must have been the internet, because I think even the phone made a noise. So we'll just, that was weird. Yeah, it looks like we're still alive. Yeah, it's still counting. So yeah, that's odd. Yeah, see this, the bad thing about this, Michael, is if we lost power here, your laptop would stay on, and this laptop would drop out, because, we should have backup batteries for this. This particular laptop. All right, we're still good. All right. I should have a mute button. Anyway, so I want to click off on that. There it is. So anyway, so yeah, so that war in the future, if there ever is one, I pray there is never one, will be against rural and urban. I have my Washington, D.C. mug. See? My sister gave me that in D.C. It's funny. Makes the drink taste funny. No, it doesn't. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so getting back to the results of the election. So obviously there are plenty of people that voted for Trump and are very happy now. And I'm praying for America, because it's not over until we're past, January 6th, when they're going to turn over and he gets sworn in. So that's amazing. So we'll see how Biden or Harris are going to do between now and all the criminals that they're going to, all the criminals that they're going to. What do they call that when they pardon? Yeah. So that'll play out and see what happens. Are they going to keep him out? Listen, he won by a landslide. So a lot of people voted. If you can trust the voting systems, We trust the voting system when it's in our favor. When it's not in favor, we don't trust our voting systems. Listen, as long as machines are counting votes, those are invisible votes, can't be trusted. See, our town, we had paper ballots. They count them by hand. Every town, every location should be paper ballots, counting them by hand. End of story. And there should be a lot of observers watching, making sure there's no cheating. That's all. More eyes in the room, the better. Every single ballot counted should be in a gymnasium with Democrats on one side, Republicans on the other side. Get it filled up to be about 20 feet from around the counting tables and count the stupid votes. Treat the vote ballots like it's stinking cash. You understand? Count the cash. When one side counts and comes up with election numbers and the other side matches it, you have an election. If you don't, you count it again. It's not rocket science, folks. It's just stupid. So let's talk about what we can expect happen. So let's talk a little bit about Trump. Okay, now it's amazing. Trump isn't running for the first time. If you get to watch the Trump, what's his name, biggest podcast, Joe Rogan, and look, not to watch the political stuff, but look, you just watch it so you know, because you're not going to get any truth on the mainstream media. But Trump literally said that he didn't want to put certain people into place because he didn't know how they vote. They were what word did he use that? He talked about it. They were not, no, there's a word for it. It's where you vet. They were unvetted, okay? I didn't vote for Trump the first time because he was unvetted. You don't know how he's going to govern. A governor coming into office from a state, you know exactly how he's going to vote because you know exactly how. So their governors are typically vetted. You can know how a senator votes because you could see it. You can look at it. You can check it out. You know how they've been supporting this and that. They're vetted. A populist vote like Trump is unvetted. Now, so let's say now he's not unvetted. Now you can look at what he did the first 4 years. What happened during that? Well, listen, I was waiting for anything that was going to be good with respect to, some of the promises. I was like, well, he's making some great promises. What were some of the promises? How about that he'd prosecute the stinking Clintons? And that didn't happen. And yeah, Amber says hanging chads. Yeah, listen, that was Seminole County. That's the county I was from in Florida. Seminole County, home of the hanging chad. But yeah, so under Trump, now he did some decentralizing with respect to letting the states determine certain things and not the federal government. That's exactly what happened with Roe v. Wade. They kicked it out to let the states determine, not the federal government. Anytime you do that, it's always better. Decentralizing power is always better. It's never not better. Centralizing, whenever you see a centralizing or coming together, when Homeland Security was created, it was centralizing certain departments. Bad. Centralized power is bad, always is bad, gives you bad results. So again, one of the things under, and he would say it was because of this COVID crap. But listen, he's a big advocate of what CDC did. He called himself the father of the vaccine. He was facilitating the fast track of that gene therapy. Not good. Even when Joe Rogan, who was speaking unkindly about vaccinations, even Trump wasn't on board. He was saying he was on board a healthy America, but he wasn't saying that he was against Big Pharma. I think Big Pharma's got big bucks into that candidacy. And you're not going to see a change in that, I don't believe. And so another thing, so the father of the vaccine has been reelected. He did single-handedly vote one of the largest borrowing of money from the federal government. They, raised the debt ceiling and all that shit again. So, it's a massive amount of spending under that particular administration. It's not going to stop. Now, he was running on securing the border. listen, secure the border from the federal government. But let me tell you something. He is going to be a big advocate of digital ID and digital and tracking people and all. You watch, he's going to be I'm going to be the father of surveillance. That's going to be Trump. You watch. I guarantee you privacy's not in there. Now, he did say he was a big advocate of cryptocurrency, which is good. He's a big advocate. He was talking about, if the federal government or, bought up a mess of Bitcoin and all, maybe they would dominate that, at least that would secure the dollar better in some capacity. Listen, the problem with the dollar is it's tied to the Federal Reserve, not the full faith and credit crap that's in the Constitution about the dollar. Obviously, people want to back it by gold and silver. That would definitely stabilize it, of course. But what a mess. Trump may be big for crypto, which that's a good thing, but he may be a big advocate of the central bankers creating their own government coin. Maybe he would require everybody to pay taxes in the government coin. That's going to be fiat and whatever it is. It's not going to be, it'll be crypto, but it's not going to be a good cryptocurrency. It's not going to have a limited source. It's just going to be bad. And of course, they're going to track the shit out of it. Not a good thing. So, again, I would have voted for Trump's promises, but the guy's a deal breaker all the time. And listen, here's another thing that you got to understand about the president. The president is controlled, always the president is controlled by the Congress. Why do I say that? Congress has the purse strings. If they want to cut him off in any way, they'll cut his funding. Always, that's the way. They can impeach him if they don't like him. So presidents are going to do the bidding of the Congress. Because why? Because the Congress is allegedly the representatives of the people, even though they don't. Congress represents big business, big pharma, big agriculture, big everything that's corporate. They're a big corporation. So, and of course, the number one issue for every elected official is funding to get reelected. Always, that is their allegiance. And most of these idiots in the federal always are in there. They come in, poor people, and leave millionaires. It's just obscene. It's called insider trading. So again, I have no interest in the District of Columbia and the Union government. Bring it back to the Articles of Confederation. That's enough, and let it go. The Constitution has given us this form of government because of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. That exclusive legislative authority in all cases whatsoever. So anyway, so that's that's some of that. And again, we could talk about the federal government and all that. So I want to bring around about not being, it's going to be duplistic with respect to how you should feel about it, right? Look, always feel great about what you're doing in your journey, all right? If you're always about liberty and freedom, that's always going to be the conversation. Well, these two parties are screwing us just like the central government's screwing us. There's corruption in all that. They're part of the problem as well. And the founders warned us about that as well. So anyway, so the idea is if Trump delivers his promises, it's going to be a wonderful thing. If we're drilling oil, if we're not borrowing, if we're not looking to foreign governments and shelling out lots of funds overseas. One of the big problems is Trump is pro-Israel, okay? Now, I look at Israel as any other state. The state or the government of Israel is not the biblical Israel, okay? How do I know that? Just look at some Jews in Israel and how they feel about their own government. Their government is as evil, as wacky as the UK's government or our government. We're talking murderers. We're talking corruption. It's all that, And so Israel, it's got they buying votes in America. How do we know that? Look, if Israel was Russia and the Russians had a handler for every member of Congress, then you could talk about Russian influence. But because Israel has a handler for every congressman except for one, I don't remember his name, who it was, but he's the one who talked about that. They are a voice to the ear of every single congressman, both Democrats and Republicans, in their ear to support Israel and policies that are always supporting Israel. It's a stinking mess. Zionist, that is the proper term. So, the biblical Israel, listen, every stupid Christian that uses the term Judeo-Christian is a moron. Why? Because you don't hear Jews using the term Judeo-Christian. They don't adulterate themselves that same way. I should say idolatrate. No, anyway, adulterate themselves, with Judeo-Christian BS. Any Christian that recognizes that the only will of God for Jews is to come to Christ, end of story, and when Jews don't, well, then they don't. But don't make like as if they're your friends and God is sanctioning some unbeliever, other than that we love people. I mean, what about Russians? And what's the will of God for the chosen people of Russia? It's like, give me a break. Scripture recognized Jew, Gentile, Church of God, and that's the Jew being the true Israelite, the one that is called of God in that capacity. But Zionists are advocates for their government and their statist form of government. It's not necessarily religious. Why do I say? Just look at the Jews that don't support the stupid things that their government does. Anyway. And that this isn't anti-Semitic, because even Jews aren't Semites. Just look it up. But the bottom line is, I'm not against anybody's religion, okay? But we can't pretend as Christians as if we're going to give Zionists a pass. It's just bad. Look, their government sucks like our government sucks. So I'm for make America states again. Now this is going to play out, and it's going to affect everybody. So it's bad. Look, the possibility of Trump fulfilling his promise. Listen, if he pardons Max Albright, and some of these other political prisoners, that'll be great. Ross, that's what it is, Ross Albright, and so yeah, I would agree, Amber. So so anyway, what a mess. So anyway, coming back, listen, the most important thing in your life is your own liberty, your own freedom. And then also, not just that, because that would be very self-centered and selfish, but the rights and freedoms of people that are around you, your family, your friends, your community. You need to stand for the rights of everyone that you personally know, not everyone that exists. You're not enough to secure the rights of the world. Everybody has a responsibility to secure their own rights. But a certain percentage, I always make up the story about 75% of your time should be in the pursuit of your own happiness. Listen, 75% of your time should not be your stinking job. Change your job so that if you spend a little bit of your time, I'm making up a number, 10% of your time, if you do it well, should create your living. Your life shouldn't be about just your work, unless, of course, your work is your joy, your calling, everything that you believe in. If that's your work, then yeah, give yourself more to that, because it's part of your joy. Your pursuit of happiness should be based in your joy. Now, maybe 10% of your time, at least 10% of your time, should be going to secure the liberties and the freedoms of others around you, your family, your friends. Promote freedom. Everyone that knows you should recognize you as a source, a voice for liberty and freedom for everyone. It should be intelligent. You should be helping people unplug from the matrix and their governments on some level. If people are around you struggling financially, you should care enough to speak into that. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be about you know, caretaking people, but caring for people. So yeah, so despite all of that, God can bless your life and can help you to accomplish the things that you're after and the love that you have for your community and your people. So it doesn't matter who's in office. You can always prosper. When people will say like, well, this particular people in office or whatever they're doing is now affecting the economy. Don't participate in the economy. Listen, during COVID crap, we did great. We didn't stop serving people, you know. And look, I always encourage people to quit their job and launch your own service towards people. Launch your own business. We'll help you with that. But it's always best to do your own stuff. That way you're in charge of who you serve, and no one can tell you that you're not going to serve somebody. All of your service towards others should be private. And of course, I'm a big advocate. Don't do corporations. Don't do LLCs, because you're just taking your good business and you're joining up with government to give you privileges and immunities so that you don't have to be responsible for your actions. That's all that corporations are. That's all they ever do, is receive from government privileges and immunities. So you don't want that. So yeah, so that's the gig as far as the election goes. And again, I will recommit to the work in my town. And listen, newly people elected, go and meet them. Let them know who you are. Find out what the number one rights violation going on in that city or town or whatever. And that'll be great. Someone asked, does an LLC protect you from lawsuit? Of course not. Yeah, you harm somebody. You don't think that an attorney can sue you and the principals? Of course they can. You don't think the government can come and slip in and prosecute the corporate heads of corporations? Of course they can. It protects you from nothing. You don't escape a lawsuit. But then again, what happens is, here's what it does, a corporation does. They can only take the money, and I don't even believe this is true. Allegedly, they can only take the money from the company, and your personal assets are protected. They'll sue you, and they'll sue your company. They're going to sue whatever financially will stick. But that's the irresponsibility. As long as the principals of corporations, that could be the stockholders or the heads of an LLC or whatever, as long as they're not going to be financially punished economically for the bad decisions they make, they'll continue to make bad decisions. It'll just be the cost of doing business. That's the way it works. So I don't recommend that. The pathway to freedom is through responsibility. Listen, you always have a right to put something into a trust, and that means you don't own it. And a lot of people do. That keeps you out of probate. So if you have assets, you can certainly put them in trust. That's very easy. But I would never, but putting them into trust, and certainly not a trust that has a tax ID number, but if you put them in trust, that's one thing, that it'll be made up of trustees. Now, trusts can be sued, of course, but if they sue you in your personal capacity, assets that are in trust are separate. It also keeps you out of probate, because if a trustee is having problems, then you remove a trustee, replace a trustee, the trust stays and keeps its property. Nothing protects you from a lawsuit. You can be sued for anything. So no corporation's actually protecting anybody. It's a false sense of security. Why? Because you're putting your trust into government, and those who look for their government to give them safety are not going to be guaranteed, freedom or safety. So how's that going to work for us? But that's typical. But anyway, that's what we always move our clients out of corporations into the private. Much better in that capacity. So anyway, so that's what I wanted to share a little bit about that. So be of good cheer. Certainly pray for America and, of course, the world with respect to liberty and freedom. And we'll see if Trump keeps his promises. I remember seeing a Facebook post where, I'll tell you another thing that I was hopeful for. We'll see. And someone else had commented on there too about RFK. and that was RFK. Trump had said that he would head up like a health czar or something like that. Of course, RFK is a big advocate. Well, he's an environmentalist, which could be problematic. That's more statist. But Trump's not on board with the vaccines. RFK is, so we'll see. He was saying that he doesn't agree with RFK on a bunch of stuff, but some things. Maybe that was just to get votes. We'll see how it plays out. And of course, he also, or someone was talking about, oh, I know what it was, Elon Musk. Trump is brilliant, is that, hey, say that you're going to bring on Elon Musk, and then I wonder if Elon Musk and Trump will have a falling out anytime soon. Maybe. Okay. Why? Elon Musk loves government money, so anyway, but if he brings him on as somebody, he did say that he would bring him on and that would do like he did with X and gut the government if he's going to bring him on. And then was it Elon Musk or Elon Musk was talking about bringing on Ron Paul. Hey, take advantage of Ron Paul, the non-interventionalist congressman from Texas, former congressman from Texas. Yeah, bring on, if Ron Paul came on as advisor, I'd say that would be stinking brilliant. But hey, maybe Trump's talking these things because that's how you get elected. We'll see. And again, Ron Paul's got big freedom backers. Look, if Trump would do what he says, it may be an amazing administration. He'd make a name for himself, a place in history. It's not likely. But if he does, I'm praying for that. Again, he said he was going to prosecute the Clintons. Is he going to clean up the FBI? Is he going to eliminate the IRS? Is he going to, listen, if you were a candidate or someone was saying we're abolishing IRS, who would step up saying, no, I'm for IRS? Even if you were going to, and I always believe this, even if you were because listen, none of the money that goes to the IRS goes to run the government. Just look at the Grace Commission report for that. The monies that are collected by the IRS go to the interest payments and transfer payments on the debt. So IRS serves the central banks. How's that working for us? The American people are serving the central banks by compulsion. Astonishing. But anyway, if you got rid of that and took the amount of money that are collected into the banks, by IRS, and moved that into corporate, of course the people still pay that. The benefit isn't about the money. The benefit is the lack of control. That would be a benefit of abolishing IRS. But you can't control people very well if you can't, surveillance everything they make. Central bankers love that shit. Anyway, not likely. Trump in his first administration talked about checking, the Federal Reserve. Talked about that. Didn't happen. What a mess. What a stinking mess. So it's not likely going to happen, but hey, I hope I'm wrong and that he shows up in a great way. That'll be amazing. But someone said 4 years from now, we will have a POS resident of the White House. We'll see. No, that's a good word because next election, we'll see. It's just this. Listen, that's why I'm all done with the union. I don't have any good thing that's going to come out of the union. We are going to see maybe the central bankers are going to collapse the currency. Maybe it's going to collapse the currency and they're going to blame it on the Trump supporters. And that's how you're going to get another statist liberal back in after 4 years. So maybe they'll amend the Constitution and eliminate the presidential limitation of 4 years. Maybe they'll interpret it that it's got to be only 8 years in a row, and that as long as he's out, then that sets him at 0. Maybe that's what they'll say in the next 4 years. I don't know. Maybe it's not 4 years, however. I don't know. It's a mess. So anyway, so the biggest thing that you need to focus on is yourself. Remember, freedom is built inside your heart and minds. Build your freedom by connecting with your God. Walk with your God. walk in love, develop your character, what you're about. That's a big part of your freedom. Your liberty is how it's demonstrated. Okay, govern yourself well, and get involved in your local community so that you can be a part of that. Do things privately so governments are unnecessary. That's the best thing. Okay, so that's what I recommend. So I'm gonna let this part of, Michael. What we'll do is we'll end this particular video, and then we'll separate these into two videos. And so now I want to talk a little bit about. But anyway, thanks for being on this particular part of the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we got some other things coming up. We'll talk about what we'll do next week. I'm looking to do a call in which we'll have some other guests on. We'll work on having guests call in, and we'll see them on, and we'll see how that work out. We'll work out the technicals for that, and we'll see if we can come up with some clients that have talked about their process in being state citizens. So thanks so much for that. And now we'll get into doing some Q&A or any... someone said, who said that you are the constitutional sheriff in the House? Oh, is that my brother's on? I was thinking it was you. Oh, it's my brother. Okay, there you go. I see who it is. I was thinking it was you, but you're not in there on that. That's cool. All right. Hey, I'm in good company here. I got the older brother on. That's awesome. So speaking of sheriff, I voted myself. Bam! I voted for myself as sheriff. So I did get on the ballot there. And the reason I did was I knew I was going to vote for one of the sheriffs because I've talked to both of them. And one of the sheriffs was more people-oriented, where he was recognized that he was serving the people. I thought that was, I could support that better than the other. I'm a big law enforcement, gun, law enforcement, cop kind of sheriff. Not interested in that kind of sheriff. Anyway, I'm for a sheriff that is actually going to restrict government. That'd be a good sheriff. So anyway, when I was standing in line waiting to now I've been a selectman in my town. I was elected as selectman in my town government. Anyway, one of the current selectmen come down the hallway, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Chris, were you gonna run for sheriff?" I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do that this time. So when I got in there to vote, I'm like, well, damn, I'll write myself in. So I did. I wrote myself in. It showed up in the election results. I wrote, they wrote me in as that. And then when I came out, I saw him. I said, "Hey, thanks for the tip. I did vote for myself for sheriff." So anyway, that did occur, and that was a lot of fun. Anyway, some of that. I wanted to say a couple things tonight. I will post on the website, the DestinationFreedom.org website. I'm going to post our registration for the Hawaii class that's coming up in January. That class is $500 for that class in Hawaii. I'll stick around and to do passport process for anybody that's there. That'll happen, and so that'll be cool. And anyway, we'll have a discount for those people in Hawaii that are going to do the passport process. We'll give them some kind of a discount on the full passport process. That'll be cool. But anyway, that's coming up in January. We'll have those dates. We have those dates already. I want to say that it's going to be from, January. Let's see how this goes. Let's see, yep. So I think we're going to go, we'll probably fly in on the 8th or 9th. We'll probably do the class on January 10th, and 10th or 11th, but probably the 10th. And then I'll probably fly out on the 15th or 16th, something like that. And but we'll stick around and do some of that. That's in January. Nothing better than leaving New England, being in Hawaii in January. The bad part is there's typically a January thaw where it gets up to 65 degrees in New England. That'll be bad if we're in Hawaii for that. But anyway, so that's coming up. And you can go to the DestinationFreedom.org website, sign up for the Hawaii class, and be a part of that. That'll give you an excuse to go to Hawaii, and then we'll have some social things. I am going to do a commentary that I've done before on the Matrix. We'll probably record that, put that on the website, and that's a faith-building talk, and on the Matrix. It helps you to, create a wonderful life when you realize that you're the Neo in your own life. And I'm not literally like from the film, but the film is powerful that way. If you've ever listened to it, it's got some wonderful insights. It's really exciting. So anyway, so that's going to come up in January. And of course, I want to invite you, all of you, to Anarchapulco in February. You want to come and be with us there. We'll probably be 2 weeks in Acapulco, Mexico for the Anarchapulco conference. And I think afterwards they have a thing called Anarchaforco, which is another conference after that. And I believe I'll be a speaker in that first conference. You can be a part of that with us, and a bunch of other things. But I would be great to meet you and to go to dinner with you or have drinks with you or something, hang out, socialize, and have that. That's going to be in February, the last 2 weeks or the third week in February. And that should be fun. And then, of course, Michael, April of next year, we're going to Liberland. So if you haven't been or part of the Liberland project, that's Liberland is a micro country that's in between Serbia and Croatia, and that's forming and has been formed, and we're developing that. You can be part of that. You can go to Liberland, look it up, and you can see where it is and be a part of that project. That's a lot of fun. And then if you're in New Hampshire in the summertime, you can come to the Pork Fest, hang out with us, and we got some other things we were working on, but we haven't announced them yet. So, but yeah, a lot of things. We'd like to meet you. So let's see if I can get into some questions on here. Someone says here, "Hi, Christopher. We talked before. I'm a Canadian citizen. Cannot do the program. Is there any way that you can do credit?" Oh yeah, I remember reading some of the things about that. So the thing is that when we do debt discharge for our clients, it's based in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which is part of the federal code under title, I'm guessing, like Title 12, banking. So it's based in some of that. But listen, Canadian money is the same way. So if you want to look up the laws of your Canadian money, and basically what it is that with respect to credit, there's no actual loan of an asset. They're not taking a banking asset or a depositor's asset and lending it to you. They're just creating credit, okay? So typically with debt, like credit card debt, there's no negotiable instrument, no valid contract where they're creating that promissory note. There's no promissory note. So therefore, we ask the banks to validate the debt. That's the first process. And then we put the bank in default, and then we we put the bank in default, and that's the end of the process. It's actually 60 days. So I think I could, I might be able to talk to you. If you were wanting to sign up for our debt discharge class, then we may have you sign a hold harmless agreement and get you into that class, because you're not going to do the passport process in America. But we might be able to do that, but you would have to understand that you would have to take those templates and the ideas of that and match it up with the law that is in Canadian banking. I guarantee it's still going to be central banking in the same way. But so we have templates and things like that that might be useful for you. So you can go to the Destination Freedom website, or go to State Citizen at DestinationFreedom.org and just say that you want to talk with me personally, and Amma will, we'll set up a talk. And then if you wanted to have access to our debt discharge workshop, I could make an exception for you. But again, typically we do that stuff for clients. So, and we could still, work that out if that's what you like to do, if that'll help you. And again, we can talk about that. All right. Someone actually lives in Hawaii? Okay, so, oh, sorry, I live in Hawaii. Okay, so that person's you're a Canadian citizen and you live in Hawaii? That's awesome. Well, you'll be local. We'll have to hook up. We're going to be on the Big Island. All right, let me see another question here before we close out this hour. Here's another question. It says, um, no, this is this. I just answered this question. Um, it was the same thing about the Canadian citizen. Yeah. Um, well, I'll just. This is a Sandra. Is Vortex? Is that the same communication? Anyway. So anyway, so that was the only question we had for tonight. So anyway. Well, thanks so much for being on tonight and for being a part of this debrief for the election or the selection. I don't have a lot of confidence. So why is there? Well, the reason there's there is to blow up volleyballs. That's the reason there's there. Anyway, I had a good time being with you, and we'll be on next week. We're looking to do, the topic is going to be testimonies, and we'll see if we can get some people on that have done our passport process. Maybe it's done it for a while, and then we'll see if they can tell you a little bit about how this journey's been, and we'll see what we can put out there, and you can get some good answers for you. So yeah, good answers. That's fine. Okay. Oh, there's another question. I'll hang on for your question. Go ahead, Kiak, Kiac. Kiak. No. Oh, thanks so much. And people are kind. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, I'm grateful for you. Was there a question?
There was another question. Any plans to?
Did I miss a go? I got 20. Let's see. Was there any plans?
Any plans to South Florida?
Where's that question? Is that coming up somewhere else?
You guys scroll up.
Oh. I didn't see that, but I missed it? Okay. What was the question again about, Michael?
Just like any plans to South Florida?
Any plans for South Florida?
You're gonna be in Florida.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm typically in Florida every winter. So typically we're in Florida from, I don't know, the whole month of March, half of the month of April. Sometimes we're in there sometimes we're in Florida in some of February, but we'll have to see. We may be the end of February, but definitely the month of March. So yeah, well, maybe we should do a class in Florida in March. Might be a fun thing. Was that what the question was? It was just about being in Florida? Yeah.
Yeah, it said I'm processing inheritance. They want to know if I should keep it in current.
Oh, so someone has an inheritance, they've done, because they're going to be looking for tax ID information, and of course they're going to do a 1099 or some type of a 1099 reporting to the IRS. So if you do these processes and that you don't have an income tax liability, then you'll give them a proper W-8 and W-9, and you won't have an income tax liability for that. So, so anyway, that's what I would recommend with respect to that. So scroll back up. Are you scrolling that up, Michael? Oh, I see. Oh, that's from my scroller on the mouse was stuck. That's why I was doing it. Okay. Annuity, keep current annuity. Listen, the thing about the annuity or any of these things, that when you set them up, you fill out a W-9 like you have an income tax liability. That was the breakdown. So whether you keep it or not, whether you can trust, doing an annuity or wherever it's based in, that's another matter. But again, if the banks collapse or if corporations collapse because of their debt or whatever it is, then a lot of that stock market and things backed by the stock market are going to be pretty shaky. People are going to lose a lot. But But the idea is that if you set those things up with the W-9, then you're going to create a tax liability with the bad paperwork. You want to, come out of those jurisdictions, make those changes. We have paperwork for clients for that. And there's, so if you want to, we'll do a class in Florida if we can get 10 people together. So if you want to reach out and help facilitate a class in Florida, then reach out to statecitizen@destinationfreedom.org and say that you'd like to invite me in and want to see if we can facilitate a class. Then we'll be glad to help set that up and set up the registrations and put that together. So just reach out. All right, so did it hang in there? All right, so hopefully it didn't. Wow, that's amazing. So is this starting anew or is this doing another track? Well, if we didn't dump out there, that was weird. We'll have to edit out those blanks if it happened. But thanks for being on. We'll see you next week. And I'm thankful for you. And I covet your prayers and look forward to hanging out, answering your questions, and doing this stuff. So, and be well. And you're the best, Take care. Bless you.
Yeah, it was really weird with it.
What's up with that?